Hi everybody, welcome all my viewers. So nice to see you again. I hope you didn't think I fell off the face of the earth. Let me show you, I'm wearing my ugly Christmas sweater. So it has a kitty and a doggy, and this is Mr. and Mrs. Claus. But as you can see, Claus is spelt C-L-A-W-S. And I'm a big animal lover, so I love that little thing of Mr. and Mrs. Claus. So, welcome to our holiday edition. We're doing Solstice and the New Moon in Capricorn. Oh my God, it's finally happening. In case you wonder what happened to me, just a moment of personal introduction. I am a Sagittarius rising, so Jupiter is my ruling planet. Jupiter is in my second house. Normally and through all my life, I don't have fear of abundance or wondering what's going to become of me, but in the past period, Pluto has been sitting on my Jupiter in my second house in Capricorn. And this, just a few days ago, my bank account where my paycheck got deposited attached to my debit card where I access all my money got hacked and all the money taken out. So it's been it's not the end of the world because it's insured, I'll get it back, but it's been like days of hassling and I just couldn't get my video made because it was just that all day long and it was just the most annoying thing ever. But it's about to end. And on this topic, this is the spoiler alert. One of the fabulous things that's happening to all of us and to our country. Thank you. You've heard the Pluto return, the famous, etc. And Pluto has been retrograde and back and forth. It will be leaving Capricorn in the springtime, in March, I believe. And it will go into Aquarius. And it's going to be a fabulous time when that happens. It goes into Aquarius toward the last week of March. And it'll stay there for a couple of months. It is, of course, going to go backward a little bit more, but a little bit another time, because it does that a lot in its elliptical orbit. But it's almost gone. That'll just be back for a little snippet, like saying, neener, neener, and it's like this, and then be gone. It'll be gone forever, thank goodness. When that happens, we are all, and our whole country, and everyone in it, going to breathe a tremendous sigh of relief. So, there is a spoiler alert here of a few things that are going to be happening after the new year. I'm going to introduce a few wonderful things at the end of this very short talk about the solstice and the new moon. That is so important. And at the end, I'll give you some good news. So I'm calling this Tidings of Great Joy. It's our cosmic Christmas gift. So we'll begin talking about the solstice. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the new moon in Capricorn. And there is some fabulous tidings of good joy here for all of us. And it's the start. This is the beginning of something big and wonderful, which will come into full bloom more in the spring. But here we go. Let me tell you about the solstice first, then the new moon, and then a little bit of a tease into the wonderful things that are going to happen to us all in the new year. This is where everyone is going to have their vibration really raised, the whole planet. This is a big one, something that only happens every few thousand years. It's a big one. So we are all in for a change, a good one. Here we go. This is the chart of solstice, December 2022. There's so much happening at this solstice. It's extremely powerful, and it is leading into the new moon in Capricorn, a super new moon, which means that the moon is in its closest position to the earth, the perigee. So the moon is closer, will look larger, and is a more powerful new moon than usual, and will be occurring in the first degrees of Capricorn, a very powerful position. So there is so much happening here that's so important. This is a turning point. This is a pivot for all of you that are listening and for the entire planet Earth. It's the beginning of us entering into a new level of vibration, which will most strongly be beginning to be felt really strong at the beginning of spring. Near the equinox in March, things are really going to explode. But here we are laying the foundation for this change. And all of us here on the planet will be making choices that will affect us for the rest of our lives. This is a very important shift. In fact, it's a shift that happens in the eons. We're talking a shift that happens every few thousand years. This is a big one. So we're making preparations now, and let's look over what we need to be thinking of in our own personal life. I'm going to point some things out with the yellow as I'm speaking to them. So first we'll just look at the sun, because the definition of solstice in winter is when the sun enters 0 degrees of Capricorn, a very powerful degree. And you'll notice not only is the sun in Capricorn, but also next to it we have Venus and Mercury that I've circled, and also Pluto. Soon the moon will be joining the fray, and we'll have 5 of the most powerful, significant planets all in one spot. That's called a stellium, and the influence is just huge. They're all in Capricorn sign, which is the sign ruled by Saturn. Take a look at Saturn in green over here. I'll just make a little yellow blob around it. That doesn't look too good. Let me just go around it so people can see that. Saturn is circled in green, and it's the ruler of where all of these planets in Capricorn are. So this is the planet giving structure, longevity, and new organizations of energy that are a little bit difficult and traumatic, but you have to throw out the old. So this is a time, as it typically is in New Year, but way more at this point, for us to really evaluate relationships. Look at Mercury and Venus that are circled here together. I'll draw a little yellow line between them. They've been very close, and they're going back to be very close, because guess what? Mercury's going to be going retrograde backwards. Yes, you heard it first here. Hooray and hallelujah, right? But this is a really important time for communication in relationships. You must really rethink all the people in your life, because some of them will probably have to be left behind in the new vibrational state, because you're going to be changing a lot, and maybe some of your loved ones, family member, friends, neighbors aren't making that change with you, and you may emotionally at least have to leave them behind. So you're going to reevaluate and open all channels of communication with friends and loved ones, and with everything that you value. This Venus and Mercury is in a relationship to Taurus. Look at Uranus over here in Taurus. These are all earth signs relating to all the possessions and things we value and our loved ones. And there are going to be some big time major changes that can happen at what appears to be lightning speed. With Uranus and Mercury together are both electrical and charged and really full of power. So you're going to expect some dramatic changes that will happen quick, that can happen in the bat of an eye, even though they may have been building up over time. And these changes are going to have long-lasting results for your future life. So you must think carefully, set your intentions, and be very clear about that, the directions in which you want to go. Because everything's energized right now. And here's another thing to look at. I'm going to circle in yellow. Jupiter and Neptune are together, as they have been. And this is the very fortunate benefic thing. Now Jupiter, here's the big thing. Jupiter has just gone into Aries. Jupiter is now in Aries. This is huge. This is a big burst of energy, of enthusiasm, of positive attitude. And notice that Jupiter in Aries, Aries ruled by Mars. Take a look at Mars. Here's Mars in exact opposition to the moon, which is coming up for our new moon, and that's in Aries, in Sagittarius. So we have Mars in Gemini, opposition to the moon in Sagittarius, and this is giving an explosive burst of power to our intentions now that you must really meditate upon these things. And during the period from now, the new moon on the 23rd is the time to really do a lot of deep evaluation of all the people that you love, all the relationships, and all the things that you value, because you can set your sights. And really, this is like this Jupiter and Neptune thing. It's kind of, you remember the Disney song that used to start out the Disney show years ago? It was "When You Wish Upon a Star, Your Dreams Come True." And this is sort of the characteristic of this moment. You have a chance, you have a shot to fulfill your dreams, and the energy that you focus on your dreams are perfect time for manifestation. Really powerful. So you must be careful of evaluating what is truly important to you, because all of these things are empowered in a supercharged way that can become manifest in your life. So from this solstice through the new moon, the 23rd, these are things that are going to be set in motion for your future life. So we've got all of these things in Capricorn, in a good aspect to Saturn, its ruler, which is showing change and stability of that change, long-lasting structures. We've got added the enthusiasm and dreaminess and spirituality with Jupiter and Neptune. We have the sudden change of Uranus, and we have Mars and the moon with vitality. This is the chance of a lifetime to set your sights. So be careful how you set your sights, because it is very long lasting. You might set your intentions at bedtime, and you can get inspiration also in your dreams. But this is the time you must evaluate. Throw out the old. Just say goodbye to it. You don't need old luggage, old baggage at this time that's of no use. So this is a time of purging. We have Pluto here in the mix in Capricorn also. You know, this is the volcanic purging of the old to revitalize. So that's the essence of the solstice moment. Now we're going to look a little bit forward. You're going to notice that Venus is moving forward, and Mercury is going to start moving backwards. So we're going to look at the couple of days forward. I'm going to show you a new chart, and we're going to see how things will move forward in the next couple of days and what that's going to mean for you. You're looking at the chart for the new moon in December of 2022. It's just progressed for a couple of days from the previous chart we just looked at. The main difference is, I'm going to circle the moon here. The moon has moved forward to join this group in Capricorn. Look how many planets are in Capricorn. I've circled them all. Moon, Sun, Venus, Mercury and Pluto. Wow. And this is a sign of building structures that are permanent and long-lasting, in a fortunate aspect to Saturn, a fortunate aspect to Neptune and Jupiter. This is a beautiful trine. Now we still have active the amazing trine from Uranus really to this whole group, because it's at 15 degrees. Here's the center point here. It's exact to Venus right now, but these guys are part of the whole group, because it's a group, kind of like a scrum in rugby where people are moving all together. It's very, very, very powerful. So this is the time for sudden changes, optimistic attitude, freedom-loving, and independence, reevaluating of everything that's important and breaking through boundaries. This is the time of changes that are beginning. You're not going to feel them all at once, because these are long-lasting changes. Each of you can make manifestations that are so important to your life for your entire future at this time. I'd like you to notice that the planet Uranus, which I'm going to circle a little bit in yellow, it's here in Taurus, is in an exact semi-square to Jupiter, which adds to this whole formation a lot of energy, optimism, freedom-loving, independent, sudden changes that can be possible in your personal life. We know that Jupiter has a pretty regular cycle. Its cycle is about 12 years. And it's a much more pleasant thing than the Saturn cycle that we've all observed, which every 28, 29 years, our life goes through dramatic, devastating changes. In fact, they're so more noticeable because things are so falling apart around us. The Saturn returns very obvious, but the Jupiter return is more the optimistic, good fortune, the wonderful gifts that life brings us, that may bring us happiness and success. So if you can think back in your life to the period that was 12 years ago and think what was happening to you 12 years ago. Let's see, that would bring us back to, let's say, January of 2011, and maybe go back a few months before that, maybe to June of 2010. So that period would be a period that was the last cycle where a similar thing happened. Now, it wasn't as intense as this one because of all the added focus and the added planetary influences that make it so much more strong. But if you can think back to that period, to the area of your life where you were experiencing expansion and happiness and gifts from the universe and wonderful things, will have more heightened opportunities at this time, with more success and much better, and with added features, because this one is a much stronger progression than it was at the new moon, at the solstice. So it would have been December of 2010 that we had the solstice, and Jupiter in a similar position in your own chart. So think back to then and how you can make life better for yourself and in what areas it's hitting you. And this, we have the power degrees and these wonderful changes. And notice also that Mercury and Neptune are in really an exact relationship. We have Mercury in 21 degrees, Neptune in 22, and now Mercury is starting to slow down. It's getting slower and slower, and by the 28th, 29th, it's going to station the 29th in 24 degrees. And that means it will stand totally still. Venus will catch up to it, and then Mercury starts going backwards a little bit. And Mercury will be going backwards, so we'll have 3 planets retrograde then: Mercury, Uranus, and Mars. So the only outer planet that's retrograde now is Uranus. And pretty soon, we are going to have the remarkable period when all the planets are going to go direct. So there'll be a little bit of stasis now. You start things in motion. This is the time when you put things in motion. And these are long-lasting changes that take a little bit of time, so don't expect that everything will fall into place overnight, because it won't. But in the springtime, we're going to have a period where all the planets, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus, will go direct, and we'll have everything direct, whereas a little while ago, everything was retrograde. So it will really open up the skies, and we'll have rainbows and unicorns. It's really, really a fortunate thing that's happening. So be patient a little bit, set your intentions now, because things are getting put in motion. You know, it's like starting a snowball that starts really small, and then it starts rolling down the hill and picks up mass and picks up speed, and then it becomes an immovable force. So don't despair. It's happening, and pretty soon things are going to be going so fast you will hardly be able to catch your breath, because things are really going to start moving in the early spring, but they're starting now. The snowball is being formed, and the changes of you that are going to manifest in your personal life and in the global situation and in our country, because we have our Pluto return every 250 years. It's upon us right now. The changes are going to be so amazing, and it's going to be such a different world, and we are all going to be really grateful for it. But make sure you be careful that you get your intentions in motion. Do a lot of meditating upon the people in your life, all your relationships, and the things that are of value to you, so you can focus on what's important for you in the long run. So I just want to point out a couple of final things about the chart of the new moon and what happens immediately thereafter, because there are a few things for you to keep in mind after the new moon and going in just before New Year. So let's look at this for just a brief moment. We have mentioned the big items, but we haven't talked too much about the Mercury retrograde with Venus and Pluto, all of this together. Now, you're going to see that this relationship quincunx to Mars over here in Gemini. So at the end of the year, you know, after when the full moon the new moon has happened, and we have Venus and Mercury close together with Pluto, we have them in a relationship with Uranus and Mars. You know what that means. You guys are astrology experts now. You know, when you have Mars and Uranus doing things together, you might fly off the handle, or have some kind of irresponsible, impulsive behavior in your communications with your loved ones, the Venus, Mercury, and Pluto. So I would say, whereas this is the time you will be throwing away those old things that no longer serve you. You don't want to do things without thinking it through a bit. Don't be impulsive at the end of the year and say things and burn bridges behind you that you don't want to burn. So use a little restraint when you are dealing with those people that maybe you don't feel should be part of your life anymore. And remember that those people just don't know. As Jesus said, and this is his birthday, we need to respect his words. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And let that be a message for you, to have forgiveness and love in your heart. Lead with love and forgiveness. At this time of year, we must do that. We must do it all the time, but now especially. So lead with love. Remember, those people need your help and your guidance, and you can't give that from a place of anger or dislike, etc. We're there to be the light bearers. So that's our job, and that's hard. You know, you're like a nurse in a hospital treating diseased people. They're not well. They're in pain. They don't know what's going on, and they're suffering, and you're there to nurse them And that's kind of our position. It's with some of these people that we're encountering now. So don't fly off the handle. Don't take impulsive decisions. With the Mercury going retrograde, you all know what that means. You don't want to make impulsive decisions. So think about all of those things carefully before you take action. No, Mercury is going to be stationing on the 29th. I'm going to give you the dates now of when the planets go direct, because that's when things will really start moving. So this is the picture until after the solstice. Let me give you the times that the planets are going direct. So at the end of this month, we'll have 3 planets retrograde. We have Mercury, Mars, and Uranus. Those are all electrical energy and sudden electrical impulses in our nervous system. So try to stay calm, do deep breathing exercises. The first one to go direct is Mars. Happily, this will happen on the 12th of January. A few days later, 6 days later, Mercury goes direct. Be watching for that. The 18th of January. Write these dates down. Mars direct on the 12th, Mercury on the 18th, and a few days after that, the last one, Uranus, goes direct on the 22nd. So that's the all clear signal. You can come out of your shelter in place, all clear, the 22nd. And for the first time in a very long time, I just put the book down on my light switch, all of the planets are direct. Do you know we had them all going backwards, which is so unusual. And that's when we were all saying, oh my God, I can't believe this is taking so long. Why doesn't the Attorney General do something? Why aren't they doing something? It's not happening. What's going on here? When all of these planets are going direct, you're going to be saying just the opposite. I can't believe this is happening so fast. Wow, that was amazing. I didn't see that one coming. So you're going to be holding on to your horses. Don't worry about it. Know that is coming. That will give you the patience, to withstand this last little bit. We're making our intentions, and those are going to build into something big and permanent for you. It doesn't happen in a day, so you will be a little patient. It's coming soon, and there will be major breakthroughs that are going to be so big for you and our country both. So be a little patient. At the end of the year, when Mercury is retrograde, bumping heads with Venus and Pluto, those are all things relating to your relationships and the things that you most value. But new structures are being constructed from the ground up. From the ground up. It will take a little bit of time, but it's going to start moving. And when it goes, we're all going to be hardly able to grasp air because things are happening so fast, and the whole vibration of the planet will be changing. And then soon after all these events, Pluto enters Aquarius, and we're going to go woohoo, woohoo. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So you have something to look forward to. Do not lose heart. These are tidings of good joy. It is happening. And things are going right on schedule. Remember, we said Trump and all of this political stuff, second, third week of December, he's going to go into a nosedive out of which there is no pulling out. If you're in an airplane that's spiraling down toward the ground really fast, there's a certain point at which you can no longer pull out of that. And he's entered that nosedive. And things are happening very quickly for him, and there's no recuperating from that. We're right on schedule. So it is happening exactly as we said it would unfold, with the same timing. And there's going to be a lot of people out of the government. House members are going to be gone. We'll be back in Democrat control at a certain point. So have no fear. Things are going in the timing that we need, because it's the way that things are being cleared out. And by the way, all of these things that we're talking about, clearing out the old, this is this is the final clearing out of the real COVID epidemic. It will be an endemic situation. It won't be an epidemic anymore. Not to say that people won't die, etc., but it'll be more into the level like the flu used to be, where it is serious and people can die, but it's not going to be overtaking our lives, and we'll be out of that. So this whole thing will purge out the really bad things that from the very root. The pandemic will be liberated, and also the political things, and in your personal life there will be a cleansing, a purging, and a rebirth in a new way. So my next video will be relating to that. Near the new year, I'm going to put out predictions for the beginning of the next year with all these good tidings spelled out for you, but you needed to have a spoiler alert so you know it's coming. And any little things that get in your way between now and then, you can brush aside and say, well, it's okay. I know that we're going to live through this, and it'll be better really soon, and give you strength to go on. So I hope everybody has a really happy holiday. This solstice and lunar, the new moon in Capricorn are so beautiful. They're so powerful, and they're going to be so important. Oh, I just had a quote from Mark Twain pop into my mind. He said something pertinent to this. Mark Twain said, history does not repeat itself. It rhymes. And that's what we're going through now. Remember what we were talking about, your Jupiter coming back in 12-year cycle. It isn't repeating itself exactly, but it's rhyming, so there will be similarities and on a little new level. So we have learned some lessons in the past, and now we're learning them at a higher level that rhymes with what we went through before, and it's going to be beautiful. So God bless you all. May you all have a peaceful season. Spend a lot of time in dreamland in the next few days. Dreamland and intentions as you go to bed, because dreamland is where you're going to be forming in your vortex of energy some of the things that you are going to be manifesting, and you will be doing a lot of this work when you sleep. Get some extra little nighty night and set your intentions and think about everything clearly. And as you're getting annoyed with people toward the end of the year, bite your tongue a little bit, lead with love. You need to guide those people. You be above it. All right, those are our final words until the new year. Just before New Year, as soon as I can, I'm going to do another video regarding that beginning of the year, the 2023 predictions, because we have some beautiful things coming. So I love you all so much. Thank you for being patient with me. I did the best I could. I know I left a few things out in this video because there was more details, but we got the main points so as not to confuse you. There are a few little things that we didn't talk about because just to keep for brevity's sake and to keep it coherent. I hope everybody understood how to proceed with your own personal horoscope. And you can send me emails if you want questions addressed or anything like that, okay? I love you all. Hi. Hi. This is Mr. Claus, who's wishing you a very happy holiday. Mrs. Claus is sitting over there. I'll show her to you in a minute. She's so beautiful. Mrs. Claus says happy holidays to all of you also. This is Mrs. Claus, actually my willow. Say Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. run. Mrs. Claus says, Happy holidays to all of you also. This is Mrs. Claus, actually my Willow. Say Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.